Hello there guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leipaladin and welcome to a new series on the channel called Fixing Halo Infinite, where I pick apart some of the game's shortcomings, recommend some solutions of my own, and as Infinite is supposedly a 10-year game with several years of live service ahead of it, though you wouldn't know it, it's going to have to evolve over time. So I throw some ideas into the hat of potential new additions and features that could be added to improve certain aspects of the game. In today's episode, we're looking at what I firmly believe is Halo's most underrated feature and something that has low-key been left to rot under 343's management of the Halo brand. But before we look at the state we're in and where we could be going, I want to look back at what made this mode so important to Halo's success and why it should be given a new lease of life. I'm of course talking about Theater Mode, and to really understand its significance to Halo, we've got to ask ourselves, do you ever wonder why we're here? April of 2003 was a month that saw Halo and the internet as well, to be honest, change forever. Red vs. Blue, a Machinima series created by Rooster Teeth Productions, was a comedic action show that followed two groups of soldiers, the Reds and Blues, and their ridiculous adventures starting in the box canyon of Blood Gulch, which eventually led them to traveling the galaxy going on all sorts of absurd adventures. The first run of the series, called the Blood Gulch Chronicles, was recorded in-game without the use of a theater mode, and as such you could still see the red reticle on the screen, and the aspect ratio was a bit janky, so they could crop out elements of the heads-up display. But it was this show that started a snowball effect. RVB became so popular that upon seeing the series, Bungie gave the team behind the show exclusive features in Halo 2, such as the removal of the HUD and reticle that helped to up the show's presentation and production values, and essentially encouraged Rooster Teeth to do more. Bungie were all in on the community making content in their game, and they saw how big Machinima was becoming, so they took it to the next level with Halo 3. 2007 saw the floodgates open, with the option now being available to everyone to create their own cinematics, their own machinima in Halo, just like Rooster Teeth. Theater mode was integrated flawlessly in Halo 3, allowing players to go back and replay clips from multiplayer and campaign games and experience them in new ways with the use of a free cam, third-person perspective, and quickly being able to jump from player to player to see their viewpoint. Players could pause, rewind, fast forward, or slow down these clips, in addition to recording sections of their games or take screenshots. The best part was that with Halo 3's file share system, screenshots and clips had their own featured section in the game's file browser that was easily accessible for the player base to view at any time, leading to some all-time classics like this, and can't forget this one.
Don't let your kids watch it!
Like I said, Theater allowed anyone to create their own cinematics and Machinima series like Red vs. Blue, permitting you how to capture card and knew how to edit, or montages and upload them to what was, at the time, the new prevailing video platform on the internet, YouTube. Forge also played a key part in this new surge of user-based content. Aside from being a map editing tool, it also meant players could create their own virtual sets for their Machinima productions, and hidden button combos like weapon lowering let players recreate that classic RVB head bobbing effect. This level of community enthusiasm continued with Halo Reach's release in 2010, and Machinima was still immensely popular. Theater mode was a stroke of genius from Bungie, as it let people advertise Halo for free by creating all kinds of short films and ongoing series that were widely available to be viewed, once again, for free, on websites like YouTube. It was the biggest unofficial grassroots marketing campaign for a game series ever. Halo had never been more dominant in the cultural zeitgeist, and it had never been more popular than it was during the time frame between Halos 3 and Reach. I think a big reason for that is because of theater mode and how it allowed people within the community to realize their scripts, stories, and creative visions with Halo as the means of presentation and the medium to do that. It created an entirely new sub-community within Halo's fanbase that is still mostly alive today. With 343 taking the reins of the Halo franchise, their first title in the series, Halo 4, was a notable step down for Theater and its functionality. Theater mode and campaign was just gone. As far as I'm aware, 343 didn't provide a reason as to why it wasn't in Halo 4's campaign, but thankfully it still ran smoothly for the most part when replaying multiplayer matches. Forge still meant that players could craft their own sets, and Forge Island saw the inclusion of a green screen Forge block, which was really helpful, but weapon lowering was scuffed, and every time your character would walk around, they'd raise their weapon, and Halo 4 also suffered from a broken file share at launch. That took a fair while to get fixed, and meant players couldn't as easily share their clips and screenshots. The UI design wasn't as intuitive as Halo 3's or Reach's, and thus interest in this feature started to drain away. And then there was Halo 5. This is just a commonplace of all my videos now, isn't it? Just talking shit about Halo 5? Yeah. Theater mode in Halo 5 was so broken at launch, it almost completely crushed any chances for Machinima to be made or to accurately record gameplay. To see just how defective it was, I'd recommend checking out the Actman and Crespo for the Wins videos, where they discuss some of the major issues with the mode before it saw improvements later in its life cycle, which leaves me with a little bit of hope that the same might happen for the next game I'll be talking about, Halo Infinite. So where exactly does Infinite's theater mode go wrong? Which, surprise surprise, like everything else in this game, is easily the most broken and disappointing theater experience to date. Partly due to the game's lack of content and 343 having overlooked a number of features that made theater so appealing to the creators that used it, meant that the mode has been more or less forgotten. And Machinima is just... well, it's not what it used to be, and you rarely ever see a good Machinima made in Infinite. It also doesn't help that the cross-pollination of modes and features that were present in previous Halo games, like a working file browser with ways to share your screenshots and clips, no forge and thus no way to create your own sets from Machinima, not even the option to lower your weapon, it's left a lot to be desired, and theater is overall just a janky mess. You know what, I'll give you the list. Alright, it frequently crashes when viewing recent clips, it'll randomly change your armor when rerunning a certain section of the video, clips have this weird jittery kind of thing going on that looks like the animations and movements of your player aren't keeping up with the frame rate, which to be fair is also an issue in the MCC, the controls to elevate or descend your camera's perspectives, which were originally tied to the left and right bumpers, have now changed to player selection, so to fly up and down, you've got to look up or down in order to do so, but for some reason that functionality is still in Machinima controls in custom games. Theater very rarely shows an accurate representation of your gameplay, as you can see from this clip here. Lighting on certain maps will be completely scuffed or just not render in. There's no way to record clips in theater without the use of either Xbox DVR or some other screen recording software. Clips will frequently become corrupted for seemingly no reason, and you can't bookmark them either, which has been an issue in the game for 8 months at this point, so there's no real way to save your clips.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
I'm probably just scratching the tip of the iceberg here, and if there are other things that are wrong with theater that you've noticed, please make sure to leave them in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear what your experiences are with the mode. Oh, and maybe while you're down there as well, like and subscribe, you know, maybe, potentially. I mean, you could, it'd be nice. It's unacceptable to me that after 10 years of making Halo games and having 2 games worth of experience with a theater mode in them, that 343 still haven't learnt from their mistakes. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back, as per usual. But this isn't a 343 hate video, alright? I'm supposed to be giving them the benefit of the doubt, and with the chance that theater mode might get better in the future, I want to make a couple of suggestions for how to improve theater going forward, and in doing so help to restore some of that lost sense of community that Infinite is currently experiencing, and hopefully reinvigorate Halo's filmmaking / Machinima and screenshot community. And the first step to doing that is to fix the community tab. The community tab is just currently sitting there on the menu gathering dust when this could very easily be a new hub for user-created content. Keep in mind, I'm no UI designer, and I have no experience in video game development outside messing around in Halo 2 and 3 mod tools. So if this looks like shit, then what more can I say? It is what it is. So here's roughly what I'm proposing. In addition to featured or most popular community-made game modes and Forge maps for when Forge releases, there could be a section for most popular screenshots and clips, maybe even some chosen by 343 devs and having them showcased on the front of the community tab for a week or so. By drawing attention to the community tab with these featured elements, it'll no doubt bring people in to look at the theater mode as well and think, well, if someone else can get their cool screenshot featured, maybe I can too. Imagine the Halo Waypoint community spotlight, but instead putting it in Infinite and making it solely for screenshots and clips and other stuff that's happened in game. The screenshotters or photographers are another one of those smaller groups of Halo's community that were kind of forgotten about, so this would be giving them some much needed attention and something to compete for. You could even incentivize people to enter their screenshots or clips through the file browser with an exclusive nameplate and emblem to those who get featured, so there would be some kind of reward. There'd also be a way to search for clips, screenshots, etc. with various filters, or to search via gamertag and ways to share them around too, just like the older Halo games in the file browser. Funny clips clips, bugs, glitches, tricks, skill montages, trick shots would all start rolling in for people to watch on the community tab. Never again will you get roasted by your mates for talking about that awesome killionaire you got but can't prove it because vids or it didn't happen. Jump into theater, record yourself getting the medal, upload it to your files, and tell your friends to search you up in the community tab, and boom.
You looking for this?
And on the off chance as well, it might get featured by 343 or just really popular in the community tab. Theatre itself is in pretty dire straits as well. In addition to all the problems mentioned earlier, I think theatre could get some much needed new additions to make it less like you're just watching a DVD and more like a series of tools and utilities that can be used by people to create content. First of all, the flycam. It's a flycam, it's just kinda there, what more can I say? And while it does serve its purpose allowing you to accurately display whatever it is you're looking at, it's always bugged me that Halo's theater flycam only has 2 zoom levels. With camera lenses, you'll have different focal lengths or zoom levels. The lower the number, the wider the shot and the further back everything looks. The higher the number, the less in frame and the closer the zoom, despite the fact you're standing in the exact same spot. In Infinite, like every other Halo game, you've got wide as fuck and what I'd assume is the equivalent of an 18 to 24mm lens, and then you've got the SpongeBob close-up grizzly details and all that is closer to likely an 80mm. Why don't we get some extra zoom levels and focal lengths between those two, or a slider between the 2 zoom levels so you can just choose what you want your focal length to be, because currently they're the 2 extreme ends of a standard zoom lens. Taking some inspiration from another game with a pretty decent theater mode, Black Ops 2, which released in 2012, oh my god. Holy shit. Black Ops 2 released 10 years ago. I feel really old now. Lets you set multiple camera positions in what they call camera dolly mode, and the game will fly flawlessly from point to point. No tedious mucking about with trying to get your movements right with the thumbsticks or the mouse and keyboard. Just drop a camera at 10 seconds on a timeline looking at what you want the camera to see, and then drop another one on another point in the map a few seconds later, and the game will do the camera movements for you, really giving your clips that professional, smooth, cinematic look, and it's brilliant for montages. While this might be intruding a bit on Forge's role as a set builder, being able to position lights with varying levels of intensity and color, really taking advantage of Infinite's lighting engine, could be a great way to add more depth to your shot and retroactively place lights where they don't exist. And it just saves you having to muck about in Forge, placing lights, saving the map, backing out, going into custom games again, body acting, and then backing out to theater, and then recording it all over again. It's none of that. Other things like atmospheric effects, maybe a bit of smoke or fog that you can dial up and down, changing depth of field as well. I think that'd be great for the photography community, and the amount of blur, changing the color temperature of a shot, either going warmer or colder, FX filters like monochrome, juicy, etc. added to theater instead of just being in Forge. The exposure, so how bright a shot is, I think those would do wonders for the screenshot community and allow them to really get the most out of their photos and stage them a little more. Basically what I'm asking for is everything a decent camera can do, but in theater. Machinima Controls in custom games can also play a part in this too. If you're not familiar with Machinima Controls, it's essentially like theater, but you can control what's happening and record it in real time with body actors as opposed to past tense like with theater. I think Machinima Controls should be expanded upon and give players the option to do more than just leave their body and fly around, but also access features like weapon lowering, which you currently can't do in Infinite without playing Attrition or Last Spartan Standing, and things like emotes or stances for your Spartan, allowing you to be a little more posable than just standing there bobbing your head up and down. That way, Machinima Controls could still serve a purpose, and you could definitely still record Machinima just in that mode, but it can benefit theater in other ways too, like stances and poses. One other thing I'd like to see added somehow is campaign theater mode, as it's literally close to already being in the game. Halo.api found an exploit that allows you to play a close approximation of theater mode in Infinite's campaign. You can glitch the game into giving you a free cam that can move around and travel a few hundred meters outside of your location. As your body is just kinda chilling there, you can't really move too far away. You can't pause or rewind, it's all happening in real time, but it's still awesome. I know we haven't gotten it since Reach in 2010, but It'd be so cool to finally have a proper version of theater mode in campaign again, especially in a game as beautiful and with as much to see as Infinite. It's one thing to walk around the map with your HUD off or the blind skull on, but getting true freedom to fly around parts of the map and observe the behavior of the game's AI enemies was always something I found fun to do, and encouraged the creation of popular series like The Spearhead's Lives of, or Late Night Gaming's evolution of. Even a photo mode, which was something that got leaked by a data miner last year, would be a good substitute if proper theater mode in campaign isn't possible. Hell, I'd even take being able to observe my teammates in co-op at this point, just something that allows us to examine Infinite's campaign in a new way and really appreciate those amazing vistas and all the hard work that went into making them. In a day and age where content creators and influencers are more prevalent and more plentiful than ever, to not have theater mode in fully working order is pretty disappointing. There are more outlets for people to show off their montages or funny machinimas or screenshots than ever now. We haven't just got YouTube anymore like in the Halo 3 and Reach days. There's TikTok, unfortunately, and YouTube Shorts, which are all the rage currently and frequently go viral. Twitter has a very strong Halo artist community, and no doubt cool screenshots and clips could slide right in alongside there too. Theater, and by extension Machinima and screenshots, have always helped with marketing Halo and acting as free advertisements for the game. I brought this up in my Halo 3 retrospective months ago, but so much of Halo 3's success I think can be attributed to theater and the influx of Machinima and other community-made content that drew attention to the game via YouTube, which was growing in popularity exponentially. At the time, those videos got millions of views, and there was a lot of saturation for Halo Machinima. Folks who had never even played or heard of Halo might have potentially seen those videos and thought to buy the game for themselves. The Machinima community has been left in the dust, despite all it's done for Halo. Theater in general has been left in the dust. Its popularity has been trailing off, and people are resorting to creating their own videos, their own Machinimas, in older Halo titles like 3 and Reach. What myself and a lot of others are asking for really isn't much. Speaking from my own experience, not having a decent theater mode in Halo Infinite has made so many ideas of mine that I've wanted to tackle as a content creator just borderline impossible. It makes trying to record videos in campaign, for example, and recording the AI and their different character models and whatnot a hell of a lot harder when there's no theater mode to do that, especially if I don't want to muck around with mods or anything like that. To me, theater is just as important to Halo's growth and popularity as something like Forge is, but I know a lot of people probably won't see it that way. There are undeniably more important things that 343 need to fix before looking at theater, but it hurts to see yet another group within Halo's fanbase get the short straw again, and as a consequence, Halo's feeling of community has never been more cynical and antisocial. I feel like the people who used theater to record their clips and take screenshots really were that heart of Halo's community, back in the old days in Halo 3 when you used to go through the file browser, and now that's just not here anymore. Those funny screenshots or clips gave people something to talk about in or between matches. They gave people something to show off or boast over. They gave the creatives a means and an outlet to tell their stories when they otherwise couldn't in live action. Being a good machinima maker or screenshotter was its own art form, and it sucks that 343 just don't seem to care about them. Theater is also only as good as the game it's in. Like I've hopefully outlined in this video, when you're missing stuff like Forge to build sets and stage environments for your actors to work in, when you can't do something as simple as lower your weapon or record a video to be uploaded to your file share, that's not going to do wonders for your community. And in turn, those people from that community will either leave or get frustrated and vent their frustration online, and if enough of them get together, that's not going to look good for your game. But if Halo 5 of all games can manage to mostly fix its theater, it's my hope that with a little more time and with a bit of input from the community, 343 can hopefully do the same for Infinite. What changes and features would you like to see added to theater in Halo Infinite, and how would you go about improving the game's community features? Let me know in the comment section down below. And before you head off, I do have a quick announcement that I'd like to make regarding the channel. As we're probably all aware, Halo is unfortunately not seeing as much interest now as it used to, and it seems like most of the news being released nowadays is bad news. And to be honest, talking negatively about Halo all the time is starting to wear me out. There's only so many times you can get angry or disappointed with a franchise like Halo and 343 Industries before you just feel apathetic. and that's kind of the rut I'm finding myself in lately. So moving forward, I won't be uploading weekly videos to the channel. Instead, it'll be closer to fortnightly. No, God, no, not that. Unless something massive and groundbreaking unexpectedly happens involving Halo in the next few months, which I highly doubt. I also feel as though locking myself into that weekly deadline has meant that I haven't been able to do my best work, and I'll sometimes cut corners on videos in order to get that video released. Whereas now, I'll hopefully have more time to polish my videos and just generally make them better. Quality over quantity. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be uploading, just not as regularly as I normally do. In order to know when I do upload, however, make sure to subscribe to the channel and be notified whenever a video goes live by clicking the bell icon. See, I know what that button does now. Until next time, lads, have a good one.